If we attach 8 plastic drums to a car, can the car drive on the water surface? A foreign enthusiast had a sudden idea and conducted such an experiment. The 8 drums were evenly attached to both sides of a metal frame, while the car itself was fixed in the center of the frame. The overall structure can be seen as symmetrical. This arrangement aims to prevent the car from capsizing in the water. Since the 4 wheels are fixed on the metal frame, the car temporarily loses its ability to drive on land. To place the car in the water, the assistance of a crane is required. Due to the distance between the water and the land, the crane slowly lowers the car into the water. It can be observed that the process of submerging the car is quite challenging. After careful consideration, they decided to let the rear of the car enter the water first. After all, the car's engine and other essential mechanical components are all located at the front of the car. Once the engine gets submerged, then the experiment would be deemed a failure. The crane slowly transports the car into the water. Thanks to the benefits of the plastic drums, the car eventually floats steadily on the water surface. It can be seen that there are hundreds of onlookers in the crowd, indicating a high level of attention for this challenge. At this moment, the challenger has put on a life jacket and seated themselves in the driver's seat, ready to begin the official challenge. It can be observed that the front wheels of the car are connected to a homemade propeller through a steel pipe. The rotation of the wheels drives the propeller, allowing the car to glide on the water surface, ultimately achieving forward or backward movement. Currently, the driver has engaged the forward gear so the car can move forward on the water surface. The speed of the car depends on the rotation speed of the wheels. After undergoing some modifications, the car can now be fully utilized as a boat. After all, the benefits of the 8 plastic drums are more than sufficient. Moreover, the engine provides ample power transmitted to the propeller. The force on the propeller doesn't suffer excessive losses. From this perspective, the experiment can be considered very successful. However, when the propeller rotates, it creates a large spray of water, which somewhat affects the driving experience. Especially for those standing outside the car, they might experience a continuous storm. By shifting the gear into reverse and pressing the throttle, the propeller starts rotating counterclockwise and the car begins to move backward. Whether in reverse or forward gear, the car can travel as instructed. However, this car has a significant issue. It lacks a rudder. Therefore, it is unable to change direction in the water, only capable of moving forward and backward. Adding a rudder to the rear of the car is not a difficult task, so there is still plenty of room for improvement. Whether they will add a rudder or make further changes, we will continue to follow up on this. If you tie 4 plastic barrels to a bicycle, can the bicycle travel on water? A young man had a sudden idea and conducted this experiment. If you want the bicycle to float on the water, you definitely need sufficient buoyancy, and 4 empty barrels can provide just that. After great effort, he managed to ride the bicycle into the deep water. Indeed, the bicycle could float on the water's surface. But he didn't anticipate that controlling the direction would become the biggest challenge. Fortunately, his friend brought a paddle just in time to resolve this awkward situation. Using the paddle to manipulate the water's surface and change direction, the bicycle was able to venture into the vast expanse of water. This allowed the bicycle to successfully travel on water. The key factors for achieving this are, first, sufficient buoyancy; second, forward propulsion; third, the ability to steer. These 3 conditions are essential for success. The only drawback is the limited propulsion. Unfortunately, relying on human power, the pedaling force is very limited, and relying solely on the rotation of the rear wheel can only provide gentle propulsion. Rather than calling it a watercraft, it's more like a fitness equipment. After all, without pedaling, it's just an exertion of physical energy. The adventurous young man chose to use paddling as a way to move forward. Although the speed is not fast, at least it saves energy. After a long journey, this marathon trip finally came to an end. The reality has proven that the plan of attaching plastic barrels to a bicycle is not yet perfect. At least in terms of propulsion and steering, there is room for improvement. And that concludes this episode. If you enjoyed my video, remember to like, share, and subscribe.